Hello, African American Studies class. This is Ms. Wall. I just wanted to give you an introduction of what we will be focusing on this week. I am at the school textbook, and we are still in Chapter 8, A New Century and New Opportunities, and we are talking about changes in Black society. The first page has a graphic organizer that's talking about the Great Migration. Your work that you did for the week of April 6th through 8th was talking about the Great Migration, and it talked about the Harlem Renaissance. What I want you to focus on this week is basically we're going to hit on Red Summer of 1919, but I also want to focus on the rise of Black nationalism. If you look over here, I know it's cut off a little bit, but the main ideas state that the migration of African Americans to the North and the birth of Black nationalism resulted in changes for Black society. Your assignment 2 weeks ago was to tell me whether or not you agreed or disagreed with the post-migration or the anti-migration. Were you anti or pro-migration? Meaning simply, do you think it was a good thing that blacks left Jim Crow South to go up north, or do you think they would have been better off if they'd stayed? That was one of our focus points. The other focus point was just knowing about jazz music and how jazz music and the Harlem Renaissance influenced and impacted American society today. So the reading focus on the side says, what led thousands of Southern blacks to migrate to the North? What events led up to the Red Summer of 1919? And how did Black nationalism and social gains lead to changes in the United States? We are going to focus on Red Summer 1919 for the first lesson and Marcus Garvey and Black nationalism. Okay. See, we did that already, so I'm going to go to the next page. On the next page, you see a map. This map shows you a good idea of just how many southern states saw this great move up north. The map shows the key of which northern states got the greatest increase and which southern states lost a lot of Black Americans. There is a question that I want you to focus on that says, what southern state experienced the greatest decreases in population? Okay, so I'm going to focus on this map for a little bit so you can see that. And then I'm going to go back up here so you can answer that question. Okay, that should be enough time for you to see that. The text goes into detail about this section. So again, I really want to hold it here and pause because where this says underline the reasons that racial tension increased after World War I want you to write it out as a bullet point. Lesson 1 on Red Summer of 1919, I want you to read it. That's why I'm going so slow right here. Read it from this particular introduction. And then instead of underlining the reasons, I would like for you to just write bullet points. And then you're going to put those bullet points on that section. So in the text box, you're going to answer the question for number 2, the one that talked about the map, about the southern states that had the greatest decrease. And then the next question will be number 4. It won't say underline. I'm asking you to bullet point the reasons why racial tension increased after World War I. As I'm talking, you should be reading these 2 paragraphs. I'm moving down now so you can see the rest of the text. So not only did we have this influx of African Americans up north to the northern states, we started to see violence. It says in the South, some whites began to punish anyone who encouraged black people. Alabama and Jacksonville, Florida, they levied heavy fees, as much as $1,000. Levied means charge. It's like they charge them against agents sent to recruit black workers. You are not answering number 5. Okay. The next paragraph says the direct offshoot of simmering racial tension. Most of these race riots were triggered by what could have been harmless events. And then it says some other riots had more intentional beginnings. The riots in Knoxville and Omaha both began when mobs tried to protect African Americans accused of attacking white citizens. Number 6, you will answer. It says identify what led to the outbreak of race riots in 1919. Okay, I'm holding it there. Okay, quickly going to the next page. And then we have Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey, basically, I want you to read this. And I kind of just want you to give me a summary of whether you believe in his tactics. Marcus Garvey believed in back to Africa. That was his belief, that we should be independent and that we should go and return where we came from. One of your next questions will be, do you agree or disagree with Marcus Garvey's theories? Please be reading this while I'm talking to you. Marcus Garvey basically gets credit for Black nationalism, okay? So you can use the internet, you can find videos, since this is going pretty fast, but you can use this. Feel free to be reading over this and go like rewind it back and forth over and over again. It's a good tool. And that is it on task 1 for lesson 1. Black nationalism and Red Summer 1919 and Marcus Garvey was our first lesson. To continue, we're going to go back to the Renaissance. The only thing I wanted you to get out of the Harlem Renaissance that you already have, I want you to know more about the actual writers. The last one I kind of talked to you more about jazz music. Now I want us to look at one of Langston Hughes's poems. It's cut off, but I'll give you another copy of it. The name of this poem is I Too Sing America. And the question is, they want to know what point was he trying to convey in the poem. Other writers of the Renaissance is one of my favorite authors, Zora Neale Hurston. Same thing that you did with Marcus Garvey. You're going to read this and you're going to answer that question. Why do you think her writings became popular in the 70s? Because she did die penniless. She lived a rough life. If you remember reading about W.B. Du Bois, W.B. Du Bois was all about blacks and whites coming together equally. Zora Neale wrote in Ebonics slang, African American vernacular, AAVE. W.E.B. Du Bois was not pleased with her. He said that she was setting us back because of the diction and dialect that she used in her writings. So I'm going to give you an excerpt of some of her pieces, especially Their Eyes Were Watching God. I'm going to try to see if I can find that and add it to the assignment. But here are some other poets you need to write down. James Weldon Johnson, who did write Lift Every Voice and Sing, Zora Neale Hurston, and Langston Hughes. Those are the writers that I want you to be familiar with. Next, I feel like you were pretty secure with jazz music by now, since that was the last assignment we did. So I'm not going to go into that as much as I did before, because we've covered it. I do want you to write down the word vaudeville and read that section. Vaudeville, variety show. Okay, I'm pausing it a little bit there so you can skim over that right quick. Okay, we're not going to write about Claude McKay. And then finally, this is the section I want you to see, how it ended. So there will be questions that I devise that go along with this that will be in Canvas for you. This is your second task. The first lesson was on Black nationalism in Red Summer 1919. The second task is on the Harlem Renaissance, the finality of it. So please read this, and I will have a separate question for how it ended, you summarizing how you felt like it ended. Okay. I'll pause it there a little bit longer. Please take the time to read this section of the textbook since you don't have a copy. Okay. And we are not creating an advertisement, so that is the end summary. If you look at the chapter summary, these are the components that you need to know for the quiz that you'll more than likely have on Thursday. You will have a quiz this week on the Great Migration, Red Summer of 1919, Black Nationalism, and the Harlem Renaissance, based on the work from April 6th through 8th and this week, April 20th through the 24th. You should be fine. I do have to meet with you this week, so be ready for those announcements. All of that information will be in Canvas. I hope you had a great spring break because I certainly did. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. We really do need your participation, and we need you to finish the work. You know, everything is due by Thursday at 11:59. That's just how it goes from here on out. As of now, I don't have any new information. I'm just here to talk about African American Studies, the assignment. Next week, we'll be doing Chapter 9, talking about World War II and the Depression and what we went through during that time frame. And as of now, I hope this has helped you. I hope it's given you time to read over the book and get a summary of the outline. And you will see the task written in Canvas by tomorrow. All right, then, have a great week. I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll see you later.